Assembly complex amid Governor Fubara's rift with Godfather Wike. Pro-Governor Fubara's 5-member assembly passes 2024 budget. Federal government exempts federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education from IPPIS. UN General Assembly votes to demand immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Very good evening to you, and thanks for joining us on the news now. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. The Rivers State government has explained why it demolished the State House of Assembly complex. Joseph Johnson, Commissioner for Information in Rivers, said the government took the decision because of the structural defects in the building after the fire incident of October. On Wednesday, the government commenced the demolition of the Assembly complex in Port Harcourt, the state capital. There were insinuations that the bulldozing of the complex had some political undertone.
Called that on the 30th of October, after the fire incident that took place on the 29th, arising from the visit of His Excellency, I was on that trip, and we got there to assess the extent of damage. But beyond that, His Excellency also commissioned consultants who went into the structure and came up with an advice that it was no longer habitable and not very conducive for business. On the strength of that advice, the government had decided to demolish that structure and also provide a befitting place for members of parliament to transact their business. Well, the rapidity at which we commenced today will tell you that we're prepared to do it. And within record time, I'm sure that place will be fit for legislative business.
Meanwhile, the Rivers State Governor, Sim Fubara, has presented the 800 billion naira 2024 appropriation bill to the Edison Ehie-led Speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly at the Government House, the same moment the demolition was carried out. The presentation was done at the Government House in Port Harcourt following the demolition of the Assembly complex by the state government and in line with the State High Court order which restrained his contender, Martins Amawole, from using the Assembly complex. Fubara said the estimated budget was aimed at promoting economic development through inclusive growth and address socio-economic inequalities in the state.
The 2024 budget size. The total projected revenue for Rivers State for the year 2024 fiscal year is 800 billion 392 million 485,433 naira 1 kobo. This is constituted as follows. The current expenditure 361 billion 998 million 242,570 naira 85 kobo.
Governor Fubara restated his commitment for good governance to the people of the state. The Speaker, Edison Ehie, assured the governor of speedy passage of the bill so that the administration can keep the ground running for the overall welfare of Rivers residents, security amongst others.
Our spirit is high. Our determination is forever strong as we remain focused on delivering on our mandate as an honest, accountable, just, and fair manner to all parts of the state and all segments of the society. Subsequently, our commitment is to strengthen, motivate the civil servants for optimal and responsible performance through regular promotion, payment of salary, pension and gratuity, and the provision of good working environment.
I assure you of speedy passage of this bill so that your administration can keep the ground running for the overall well-being, welfare, security of Rivers people, Rivers State, and the admiration of Nigerians at large.
Still on Rivers State, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, has declared the seats of the lawmakers who defected vacant. On Monday, 27 lawmakers said to be loyal to Nyesom Wike, the immediate past governor of the state, left the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the All Progressives Congress, APC. During plenary on Wednesday at the Government House following the early morning demolition of the Assembly complex with only lawmakers loyal to the governor in attendance, Ehie declared the seats of the defectors vacant.
To declare the seat of 25 defected members of the Rivers House of Assembly vacant. This House received correspondence, notices, and publications, including letters from 25 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly of their former defection from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. And we have also confirmed this visually, including videos that were posted via media houses and including the social media. We are aware that it is the right members and every Nigerian regards freedom of association. Consequently, distinguished colleagues, the House, having deliberated formally on the motion before it in line with our standing order and the Constitution of 1999 of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I hereby declare the seats of the following honorable members of the Rivers State House of Assembly vacant.
In the meantime, the Rivers State chapter of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has faulted the court order empowering the factional Speaker of the House of Assembly, Edison Ehie, to preside over activities of the legislative arm of government. Chairman Caretaker Committee of the APC in Rivers State, Tony Okocha, says it will not watch a judge allegedly violate the principles of law and disobey the National Judicial Council. Okocha, while reacting to the ex parte motion restraining Martin Zamaule and Dumle Maul from being Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, says the move is an abuse of court processes. Okocha alleged that the idea is to allow the Governor Fubara present the 2024 budgets to the Assembly, while also saying that only 4 members of the Assembly cannot sit over 31-member Assembly with 27 as APC.
It is the palpable fear of that irreparable loss and the concomitant churn-out that has led to the procurement of an ex parte order from the Courts of Justice Danagogo, who is younger brother, I emphasize, Justice Danagogo is younger brother to Dr. Tammy Danagogo, who serves in government, Rivers State government, as Secretary to State Government. It is preposterous that Justice Danagogo could berate the NJC, who had decided against the granting of frivolous ex parte. We shall be left with no option than to petition to the NJC if the judge does not reverse himself immediately.
He says the APC will write a petition to the National Judicial Council if Justice M.W. Danagogo does not reverse the ex parte motion.
It is our counsel to the Governor of Rivers State that you refrain from any action that may escalate the political tension orchestrated by his party, the PDP in Rivers State. He and Inc. should know that as a party in the overwhelming majority in the House of Assembly, we shall not tolerate intimidation harassment, and hounding and threatening of our members in whatsoever and howsoever guise. APC is in the leadership of Nigeria and hasn't attempted to suffocate the opposition.
Okocha said the All Progressives Congress in the state shall not tolerate intimidation of their members from the ruling party in the state. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has directed its legal advisor, Kamaldeen Ajibad, to commence appropriate legal action against the defection of 27 State House of Assembly lawmakers from its party to the All Progressives Congress. A total of 27 members of the House elected on the PDP platform on Monday defected to the APC and threatened to reject the request of the state governor, Sim Fubara, for approval. Their defection, according to the letters written to the factional speaker, Martin Namawele, and read on the floor of the House, was predicated on the division in the party as regards the tussle for the position of the National Secretary of the PDP, which had made communications channels difficult. The PDP, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Deborah Luguagba, on Wednesday, said at its NWC's 580th meeting, thoroughly reviewed the state of the party in Rivers State. Oluguagba disclosed that the party communicates to the Independent National Electoral Commission by formally informing the Commission of the vacancies in the Rivers State House of Assembly as a result of the defection. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has presented the year 2024 budget estimates of 2.2 trillion naira to the Lagos State House of Assembly. Addressing the hallowed chambers, Governor Sanwo-Olu said the 2024 budget was to build on previous years.
The day's event kicked off with a review of proceedings of last sitting by the House. It was followed by arrival of Governor Sanwo-Olu at about 1:35 p.m. into the hallowed chambers, signifying full commencement of the day's business. Speaker of the House, Mudashiru Obasa, then announced the return of Honorable Rauf Age Suleiman, a member representing Amuwo-Odofin constituency, back into the House. Thereafter, a motion was moved to allow Governor Sanwo-Olu into their midst for the budget presentation. Governor Sanwo-Olu went straight to business. Christened Budget of Renewal, the governor presented a total size of 2.2 trillion naira to the House. Total expenditure is projected at 1.22 trillion naira, representing 54.4% of the total budget, while the recurrent stands at 1.02 trillion naira, including overhead and personnel costs, as well as recurrent debt service. The state's projected revenue stands at 1.847 trillion naira. This includes internally generated and allocation from the federal government. The governor is hopeful of a positive turnaround from the year 2024 budget.
We equally propose a recurrent expenditure of 1.02 trillion, which comprises of total overhead, total personnel costs, and recurrent debt service broken down as follows. Total overhead costs, 527.7 billion. This is made up of overhead, 304.7 billion, subvention, 123.01 billion. Dedicated funds amounting to 100.02 billion, personnel costs amounting to 319.23 billion, recurrent debt service at 174.94 billion. For capital expenditure, we propose a total of 1.224 trillion. As follows: capital expenditure 856.38 billion, repayment 367.89 billion.
Sanwo-Olu also took time out to highlight the performance of the 2023 fiscal budget.
We have delivered several thousands of houses to Lagosians in different parts, including at Igondo, Ibokushi, Iponre, Lekki Phase 2, in Koshofe, in Omole, in Ogba, and Kosije, at Bagada, at Shokotedo, in Itamanu, and to mention but a few. We are also commencing our conversation at building the proposed Immortal Workers City, which is meant to produce about 3,500 new homes, and which will also be supported by market financing. We're also very critical with our MSMEs and startup support.
Responding, the Speaker of the House reminded the governor of the harsh economic realities of the day, stressing that the next year's budget must be tailored towards mitigating the effects.
Provision of subsidized school materials should be encouraged. In like manner, raw food marshal who bring food items from either land should be put into consideration. The government can help subsidize the transportation system. This will in turn lead to a crash in the cost of food prices and make them affordable. While we appreciate increment in salary, it is expedient to know that it has always led to inflation. In that case, it has never been needful. Right from that immemorial, we have had cases of salary being increased, but it has usually been counterproductive, as it has never really solved the economic challenges of the masses.
Obasa noted that it was highly important to apply the right indices to ensure performance that would lift the people out of poverty and reposition the state towards infrastructural growth and renewal. Love Ikuku Oyedoku, Plus TV News.
The Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, Doris Nkiruka Anite, faced intense scrutiny on Tuesday from members of the Joint Senate and House of Representatives Committee on Trade, Industry and Investment during a budget defense hearing. The committee extensively questioned the minister's proposal to allocate 1 billion naira for a trip to Geneva in 2024, a provision that the minister struggled to substantiate. In response to the budget documents submitted to the committee, members expressed disbelief and outrage at the proposed allocation of 1 billion naira for the Geneva trip. They raised concerns regarding how this substantial expenditure aligned with the core mandate of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Investment. As per the customary budget defense procedure, the minister was called upon to elucidate the rationale behind the proposed budget and report on the performance of the 2023 budget. Senator Adams Oshomole, representing a Edo North Senatorial District and a former governor, voiced reservations about the planned 1 billion naira trip to Geneva.
What is the balance of trade between Nigeria and China? What is the balance of trade between Nigeria and countries other than the European Union? What is the balance of trade between Nigeria and the United Kingdom? Most of our major trading partners. And when I talk of balance of trade, delete oil. No, that one is an international product. So that we can appreciate how much we have gained in terms of giving all the money we spent over the years on export promotion and all the institutions we've set up, whether they are banks, they are commission, whatever they are, so that it will give us a window whether we are not just throwing money away. We probably have far more institutions, whether financial institutions or other commissions, with the one primary objective to promote export.
The 2024 budget of the ministry is made up of selected projects and programs designed to stimulate economic growth and national development. These projects and programs are also intended to fast-track the attainment of the renewed hope agenda in the Industry, Trade and Investment Ministry. The ministry remains committed to achieving its vision of promoting economic growth, creating jobs, and generating wealth, as well as formulating and implementing policies and programs that will attract both foreign direct investment and increase the local participation by local industries, boost industrialization, increase trade and exports, and also encourage development of enterprise.
Addressing the minister, Senator Oshomole accused her of inadequate effort in promoting the nation's interest and demanded details of the country's trade balance with other nations. He inquired whether the ministry had formulated strategies to enhance exports and curtail imports, thereby improving the nation's trade equilibrium.
There is one major thing that I've seen in all the committees that I've attended, and this is something the Senate has to look at. Every time Nigeria has to travel, including your ministry, we always have the largest delegation of Nigerians to trade missions. Now I see in your proposal, you have trade mission in Geneva, and you are going to spend almost over 1.70 billion naira to maintain your Geneva office, which means ideally you have trade experts in that office. And when I used to go to Geneva, where Nigerian ministers go with 30-man delegation, America will use their trade officers in Geneva to attend those meetings. They are just pure technical people. In Nigeria, the minister will lead the delegation, and by the time you multiply now, I don't know what the ESTA code is now, times 1,000, whatever it is, you find that ministers in trying to help put their people on trips, they don't attend the meetings, and they spend most of that time shopping.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, has sounded an alarm over the inadequacy of the 2024 budget allocated to her ministry, emphasizing that it falls short in effectively combating poverty in Nigeria. This revelation came during the defense of her ministry's budget before the Joint National Assembly Committee on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, chaired by Senator Idiad Adebole. Dr. Edu highlighted that the allocated budget of 532.5 billion naira, while representing 28% increase from the 2023 budget, did not align with the current inflation rate of 27.33%.
I would, having the documents before you, I would just quickly go to page 16, which shows the budget performance for 2023. Which is the year we are in. Like I said, we just wanted to bring that clear comparison so that we can make our appeal and make our request clear for 2024 going forward. There's much left to be desired. The budgetary releases were not adequate, and we hope that there would be a tremendous improvement in 2024.
The federal universities, polytechnics and colleges of education have been taken off from the Integrated Personnel Payment System (IPPIS). The exemption approval reached during the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja on Wednesday comes as a relief to tertiary institutions across the country. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, disclosed this while briefing State House correspondents alongside other ministers on the outcome of the FEC meeting, noting that this takes immediate effect. According to him, the council observed the vice-chancellors of universities did not need to abandon their work to come to Abuja to process the salaries of their personnel.
It was a very happy day for the education sector because one of the problems which the vice chancellors, rectors, and provosts of college of education, those managing the tertiary sector in Nigeria, have been complaining about have been the subscription to IPPS. You know what IPPS does? And which has made recruitment and many other activities of the university relating to personnel very, very difficult. Now today, today's council, it has been decided, the president has directed that vice chancellor should no longer or have been taken out of that service. So this is a very, very important development for the Vice Chancellor that will allow for efficient management of the universities. The Speaker of the Ondo State House of Assembly, Olamide
Oladiji has claimed to have received a letter from ailing Governor Rotimi Akeredolu that he is proceeding on medical leave on Wednesday. Oladiji said the State Deputy Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa will subsequently assume the responsibilities of the governor in acting capacity till there is a written declaration to the contrary. Oladiji's statement comes almost 48 hours after President Bola Tinubu directed ailing Governor Akeredolu to write to the State House of Assembly, notifying it of the transfer of power to his deputy. Tinubu reportedly told people at the meeting he had summoned to resolve the leadership crisis in Ondo on Monday that Akeredolu was incapacitated and could not sign a letter anymore. Monday's emergency meeting was the second one summoned by the president to resolve the leadership crisis in the state following the governor's absence from office since July 2023. The Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Uju Kennedy, has lambasted the ministry over what she describes as wasteful and frivolous spending. She says the ministry was rather engaging in these unfruitful activities, spending millions of dollars on women meetings yearly, while Nigerians toil day and night to survive the harsh economic situation of the country. She was speaking at a one-day Wealth Empowerment for Women initiative, We Win, Women Stakeholders Conference organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development held in Abuja on Wednesday. She commended the House Committee on Women Affairs for its supportive role in ensuring that the right things are done in the ministry.
It surprises me. Do you know they take me unawares? They can barge into my office and ask the ministry, show me all the monies you have spent, where you spent it. I want to look at it. What does it bring? Blabbing. Because majority of the monies have been spent on frivolities. Speaking English, going for meetings, $10 million could be spent on just meetings, advocacies, travelings, and we're seeing it. Instead of us to focus on it, what all of us are doing, please include me, I want to go. So that they get something. That little money you get and your country is going down by the day. Nobody cares. Until we focus on those issues, talk to ourselves, and then the government, the way the committee is working, I'm pleading with them to work on changing the policies.
Earlier in her welcome address, the committee chairman, Honorable Kafilat Ogbara, said the conference was aimed at discussing the empowerment of women in the society by creating an environment that will provide a solution for long-term approach. The speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, who was represented by the Deputy Whip, Honorable Omoyunmi Onabuga, highlighted the importance of women empowerment and wealth creation as a global concern.
In addition, we cannot underscore the presence of women in parliament. Women participation is not just a matter of diversity and inclusion, but a fundamental necessity for the effective functioning of our democratic institutions. Women bring unique perspective and experience to the table, which are essential for crafting policies that truly reflect the needs and aspirations of all. Consequently, research has shown that countries with higher level of women representation in governance and in the parliament tend to have better governance, increased focus on social welfare, and greater investment in education and healthcare. This underscores the undeniable link between women in leadership and the overall well-being and prosperity of a nation.
As part of efforts at exploring the possibility of setting up a border security force in the foreseeable future to secure Nigeria's porous border areas, the federal government has started a one-day workshop for creation of platform for local border authorities along Nigeria-Cameroon international boundary. The workshop was being attended by chairmen of border committees of frontline states of Adamawa, Borno, Taraba, Benue, Cross River, and Akwa Ibom, as well as traditional rulers among others. The Director General National Boundary Commission, Adamu Adaje, represented by Amina Nyako said the workshop comes at the right time, owing to rising insecurity along border areas. She added that it will also facilitate cross-border cooperation, regional integration, and economic growth, as underscored by African Union and Economic Community of West African Union, ECOWAS. The State Deputy Governor and Chairman State Boundary Committee, Professor Kaletepa Farauta, explained that Adamawa State is a major stakeholder in the cross-border project in the country. According to her, Nigeria has ratified the African Union Convention on Cross-Border Cooperation, otherwise known as NIAMI Convention, to provide roles for the border local governments, states and country at large.
This workshop is designed to improve trans-border relations between composite regions and local border authorities, as well as the traditional rulers along Nigeria-Cameroon international boundary. It is a follow-up to the meeting workshop that established the National Consultative Forum for Constructive Engagement, Collaboration, and Effective Coordination of Border Policies and Programs.
We're gathered here today to establish a very important platform that will not only serve our collective security interests, but also boost the economy and prosperity of our respective states and pave way for the trans-border cooperation between Nigeria and Cameroon. Nigeria and Cameroon share a long history, socio-economic ties and cultural relationship that predates the arrival of colonial administration. In that regard, our efforts here will hopefully not only foster peaceful coexistence, but also open doors for more opportunities for progress and development.
On his part, the Comptroller General of Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, Wurola Adepoju, said creating the platform for local border authorities would indeed address smuggling of migrants, banditry, among other security challenges. The Executive Secretary, Border Community Development Agency, Captain Junaid Abdullahi, represented by Sadiq Abdullahi Issa, commended the efforts for education of local border authorities as a key catalyst for national cohesion.
This will create the platform for the local border authorities along Nigeria-Cameroon international boundary, which will equally bridge the gap between irregular migration and cross-border trade crime between the two countries. This will go a long way in checkmating cross-border crime, such as smuggling of migrants, trafficking of persons, banditry, kidnapping, etc. You will agree with me that within the context of both the national migration policy endorsed by the federal government in 2015 and the African Union Border Governance Strategy, the provision of basic socio-economic infrastructure and poverty alleviation programs are identified as necessary. The development of these communities, which are the doors and windows of Nigeria, is also a key component of national economic development, national security strategy, and national cohesion.
The one-day workshop, which has the theme Transforming Borders from Barriers of Separation to Bridges of Cooperation and Integration, would bring out findings towards enhancing security and welfare of border communities. Kaduna State Government has expressed its readiness to continue supporting Nigerian Armed Forces fallen heroes who have paid the supreme price of serving their fatherland and protecting the nation. The State Governor, Senator Uba Sani, stated this at the flag-off of the 2024 emblem to mark Armed Forces Remembrance Day across the country. He underscored the need to support the gallantry of serving military and fallen heroes who have made huge sacrifices to defend the country against enemies of peace. He added that the emblem symbolizes the spirit of patriotism and selfless sacrifice that all Nigerians must embrace and reflect on to serve the nation in truth and faith.
Today, gallant members of the armed forces are spread in different fronts, battling bandits, terrorism, insurgents, kidnappers, and other criminal elements. they have been recording successes despite huge challenges. Many of them have been away from their families for months and years. Our departed heroes left behind wives, children, and relations that must be catered for. Therefore, there are thousands of veterans, some of whom have special health needs and challenges. Let us spare a thought for our dear citizens who lost their lives. Let us recommit ourselves to the national pledge to serve Nigeria with all our strength, defend her unity, and uphold the honor and glory. It is in doing this that the sacrifices of our heroes past will not be in vain.
The acting chairman of the Nigerian Legion Kaduna State Chapter, Major Danjuma Baran, retired, who was represented by Major Bala Adamu, said the establishment of corps commissioners will assist in intelligence gathering, insecurity and conflict resolution and other threats to the nation. They appealed to government at all levels to support Nigerian Legion, widows and children of the fallen heroes which have served the nation faithfully.
As you are all aware, the Nigerian Legion is a self-sustaining body that depends solely on the goodwill of the people like you. Therefore, I would like to appeal to the state government and the general public to continue to support the Nigerian Legion to enhance the welfare being of the heroes, orphans, and widows, among others. As a matter of urgency, to consider the establishment of a corps of commissioners in the state based on the approval of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Established will render services such as provision of security, both public and private, intelligence gathering, school crime detection, and prevention of and local conflicts resolution.
Still ahead, countries at COP28 reach historic agreement to transition from fossil fuel. Details when we return.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
Now from other parts of Africa. After weeks of negotiations at the COP28 Climate Summit, nations have signed a deal to transition away from fossil fuel and not phase it out. Ahmed Al-Jaber, the president of COP28, disclosed this in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, after talks on fossil fuel phase-out went into an overtime. Al-Jaber said it was agreed that fossil fuel would not be phased out totally as proposed by most governments, but called on countries to transition away. This is the first time in the history of COP that nations have agreed on a concerted move away from oil, gas, and coal. The deal recognizes the need for deep, fast, and sustained reductions of fossil fuels if humanity is to limit temperature rise to 1.5 centigrades. Also speaking, Espen Eid, Norway's climate minister, said fossil fuels were the elephant in the room at the summit.
And with them in mind, and with that in mind, it makes this a day of gratitude, a day of solemn satisfaction, and maybe also of silent determination. And a day to salute the fact that humanity has finally done what is long, long, long overdue. 30 years. 30 years we've spent to arrive at the beginning of the end of fossil fuels and to bridge our ambition on adaptation, finance, and mitigation to get concrete and actionable on 1.5 as scientists have urged us to do for so long.
Former Sierra Leonean President Ernest Bai Koroma has been placed under house supervision in what the opposition say is house arrest following the recent violence. Koroma was questioned on Monday, December 11 for the third time by police in Freetown about the events of November 26 described by the authorities as an attempted coup d'etat. On Saturday, the government had announced that Mr. Koroma, who led Sierra Leone from 2007 to 2018, had been placed under a regime akin to house arrest, information disputed by one of his lawyers. Vote counting began in Egypt on Tuesday evening, December 12, after polls closed at 7 p.m. GMT. Some 67 million Egyptians were registered to cast their ballot on the presidential election, or in the presidential election. The National Election Authority, which is responsible for organizing the poll, stated that they recorded an unprecedented turnout. The turnout stood at 41% in the 2018 election. Former Army Chief Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is running against three relatively unknowns: Farid Zahran, leader of the left-leaning Egyptian Social Democratic Party, Abdel Sanad Yamama from the Wafd, and Hazam Omar from the Republican People's Party. And from Egypt, we moved outside Africa. The United Nations General Assembly has voted to demand an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in war-torn Gaza, in a rebuke to the United States, which has repeatedly blocked ceasefire in the UN Security Council. A majority of 153 nations voted for the ceasefire resolutions in the General Assembly's emergency special session, while 10 voted against and 23 abstained. While a General Assembly vote is politically significant and seen as wielding moral weight, it is non-binding, unlike a Security Council resolution. The U.S. last week vetoed a ceasefire resolution in a smaller Security Council, which had been approved by a majority of the powerful 15-member body.
The result of the vote is as follows: 153 in favor, 10 against, 23 abstentions. Draft Resolution A/ES10/L27 has been adopted.
Australia, alongside 152 other countries, was among the countries which voted in favour. In doing so, we joined Canada, New Zealand, Japan, France and India, and many other countries. Australia appreciates the bringing forward of this resolution by the Arab group, and we acknowledge the gravity of the Secretary-General invoking Article 99. And in doing so, we have said Israel must respect international humanitarian law. Civilians and civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, must be protected. The resolution we have supported is consistent with the position we have previously outlined on these issues. We think it's important that, very close.
Up next, CIB enharps on ESG initiatives to ensure sustainability of enterprises. That's in Business News when we return. Businesses in Nigeria have been urged to embrace and harness the transformative power of the environment, society, and governance principles as they support sustainable long-term growth by proactively evaluating potential issues. This was the crux of the discussion at the Entrepreneurship Development Program and public presentation of practice license organized by the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. Details in this report.
Environment, Society and Governance ESG framework helps identify, organize, prioritize and accordingly guide decisions on various business risks. These risks, if left unaddressed, can prove costly to the functioning and sustenance of businesses.
Welcome, Mrs. Elizabeth Eby, FCIB, the DMD CEO, Future Blue Group.
Members of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, are gathered here to build capacity by the Entrepreneurship and Development Program, EDP. It is themed on building sustainable enterprise, the role of ESG. As demand for ethical and sustainable practices increases among investors, clients, and the wide society, the need for improved, transparent ESG performance has also grown.
The truth of the matter is that gone are the days when the value that company aims at is just the profit. You know, a company can be profitable today, it may not be profitable tomorrow, because if for example, the company is doing something that is alien to environment, something that is alien for social society as a large, and also poor governance. So we believe that as an epitome, of integrity within the banking industry, we should organize, this kind of a seminar program for our members.
Environmental issues have become very critical in the life of our people. Social issues have to be embraced to make sure that all things are working together. And even in the business itself, there must be rules and regulation guiding the business for sustainability.
Other speakers believe the quality of a company's ESG-related risk management is important to investors in weighing overall risk and return. Emphasis is made on the society component of the principle, specifically with a focus on gender equity and issues affecting young people.
It used to be like an addendum to business initially, but now it's not a center point. If you look at the feedbacks that you get from COP28, it's basically like electrifying to know that everybody's now committed to climate change, even the climate denials. So it's something that we need to bring back home and actually incorporate into business development and even entrepreneurship, because ultimately you cannot rehearse what you're not going to perform.
And when it comes to ESG, we're very clear on what environment means, we're very clear on what governance means, but social, we haven't quite sort of like gotten to the bottom of it. The intersectional issues around whether it's gender, diversity and inclusion, impact, young people, people who are disabled, and just even employee welfare, I think that's really critical, and everything, whether environment, government, or governance rather, impacts social.
The banking industry plays a pivotal role in driving ESG initiatives, now committing to this course for you. Together, we must strike a course that not only further boosts the economy, but also aligns with the principle of best practices in international sustainability endeavors and responsible banking.
Board involvement and managerial support is critical to creating value through ESG strategies, as active involvement by corporate boards can help guide and shape best practices and reinforce the idea of the strategy as a priority.
Of the practice license and sale of the CIBN confers.
Meanwhile, practice licenses were presented to members with a charge to uphold the core values of integrity and trust.
No, stay on this side.
Up next is entertainment news.
Afrobeats megastar Davido is poised to take center stage at NYC's iconic Madison Square Garden on April 17, 2024, making his first ever concert at the legendary venue. The electrifying performance is slated to be a highlight of his extended Timeless tour produced by Duke Concept, spanning across North America. The highly anticipated tour will kick off with the monumental Madison Square Garden show, followed by a mesmerizing performance at Montreal's Place Bell on April 19, and culminating with an unforgettable finale at Orlando's additional Financial Arena on April 24. 18 companies have cut ties with Empower Global, a business venture founded by embattled American singer Sean Combs, popularly known as Diddy, amid series of sexual assault allegations against him. The companies confirmed this to Rolling Stones magazine on Sunday. According to Rolling Stone, 18 brands in total have cut ties with Diddy's Empower Global, which was founded in 2021. American singer Taylor Swift's Eras Tour has broken the record for the highest grossing music tour in history. Guinness World Record confirmed the new record on their website on Tuesday. Eras Tour also became the first ever music tour to surpass $1 billion in revenue. The tour, which began in March 2023 and is set to conclude in December 2024 after a total of 151 shows worldwide, has earned $1.04 billion to date, according to Pollstar. Emmy Award-winning actor Andre Braugher, popularly known for his role as Captain Holt from the series Brooklyn Nine-Nine, has died after a brief illness. The news was confirmed by his publicist Jennifer Allen in a statement to Variety. Viola Davis also took to Instagram to bare her heart, posting pictures of her and Andre on the set of Good Times, where they co-starred.
Now the main news again. The Rivers government has begun the demolition of Assembly Complex amid Governor Fubara's rift with Godfather. Pro-Governor Fubara's 5-member Assembly passes the 2024 budget. The federal government has exempted federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education from IPPIS. And the United Nations General Assembly has voted to demand an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. And that's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Thanks for being there.
for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Shimori Badejo holds a first degree in mass communications, master's in communications arts, and a PhD in social psychology, specializing in mass mobilization.
The simplest definition of public relations, which also relates to a nation, is doing good and letting people know. Now, what we hear, it's people demarketing even their country. I grew up in a home where the fear of God was actually implanted on us.
What led you to the good old days?
I realized that they lack sense of history. Even if history is not allowed in schools anymore, let us see how we can bring snippets of this history.
Timeless Conversations, airing every Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshuke.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, right? No question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
A 20-meter cliff, a couple of ropes, freezing cold water, and me trying to cope with all of that. I did make it down in the end, but this outing with a couple of guys really had me testing my limits. And that's precisely our topic this week on Made, leaving the comfort zone. I'm Chris Kober, welcome. We don't want to be bogged down with details, do we? It is the result that counts. Well, sometimes it's the details that unveil an inconvenient truth. Take meat production. We know that for us to be able to slap that steak on our grill, an animal needs to die. Often enough in anything but a gentle or respectful way. Our reporter, Kai Steinecke, an avid meat lover, decided he wants to leave his comfort zone and does want to know how the sausage gets made, literally. A word of warning, the report contains scenes some viewers may find disturbing.
I am going to slaughter one of these animals. They belong to Wendelin Schmucke. He farms sheep the traditional way. His family has been doing this since 1750. His sheep are out to pasture for most of the year. But it's hard to find enough grazing land.
In der Regel brauchen die Schafe
The sheep
nachher
need
einen
about a
Hektar
hectare,
Fläche, den die
a
bekommen.
hectare a day, that is.
Dann brauchen die auch jeden Tag einen Hektar Fläche.
A hectare every day?
Ja, 10.000
Yes, a hectare for 700
Quadratmeter,
sheep.
700 Schafe.
So this whole field is only enough for today. When they've had their fill, the flock will go home to the farm.
I hope the ones that I'm gonna slaughter are going to be bigger.
Oh yes, this one is bigger. It's 6 months old and weighs about 40 kilos.
That's huge.
I had no idea how quickly they grow.
I really don't know if I can do this.
I'm grappling with the fact that we kill animals so we can eat meat, and that I'm going to kill this lamb. First, we have to take it to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, you really can feel the 40 kilograms.
It's a 10-minute drive, nothing in comparison to the lengthy journeys to the slaughterhouse that livestock often face. Marco Kerr will be by my side throughout the process. He's been a butcher for more than 10 years, and he only slaughters what people bring him for their own consumption, like this lamb that I've bought.
Das ist das Schlachthaus hier und hier wollen wir das gleich wieder machen.
What was it like for you the first time?
Ja, das erste war.
You don't forget the first time. I had to leave the room. It was all a bit much.
Das war ein bisschen viel. Gar nicht so das
Not
Blut,
because of the
einfach so
blood,
dieses
but the fact that an animal is
Stück war
dying.
ein Tier. Und das wird dir erst bewusst,
You don't
wenn
really grasp
es
that
soweit
until you
ist.
see
Und
it.
dann
And when it's
können
done,
wir es aber nicht mehr
you
ändern,
can't
dann ist
undo
es
it.
so. Aber
But we'll manage.
wir schaffen das schon. Wir schaffen das.
Oh God.
Marco shows me how to use a bolt gun. It destroys the sheep's brain, and it won't feel anything afterwards.
Schon ein bisschen Gewicht und locker in der Hand halten.
Hold it loosely and then press once.
Einfach trauen.
That was it.
Oh!
Ja.
That's like a real gun.
Ja.
And now the lamb's head is in the firing line.
All is good, all is good. Oh my God.
Höchster Punkt. Verbindungslinie.
Highest point, draw a line. There.
Finger weg.
Take your fingers away.
Immer den Finger weg.
Ja.
So.
On the head and pull the trigger.
Ja.
Knife, slice it through, all the way.
Durchstechen, richtig. Durch.
And again.
Muss man einmal.
Oh God, Jesus. That's a lot of blood. That's a lot of blood.
Das war's.
That was it. It's over.
Hat es geschafft.
So, how was it?
It's all happening so fast. I think I'll need time to process that. I've killed an animal.
Great shot, really.
But that was just the first step. We're still a long way from having any chops or sausages. First, cut off the head, then the legs and the pelt. That's easier than I'd expected.
Das bedeutet dann aber auch
This
so,
isn't mass
es ist ja keine
production.
Masse so, ne? Also dann kann ja nicht jeder
Not
immer
everybody
dann
can
halt
get
so
a
einen
lamb
Lamm
like this.
haben, mehr oder weniger.
Das ist so. Das ist so.
That's
Aber
true.
das macht's auch wieder besonders.
But that's
Und
what
das
makes
ist
it
auch wieder das,
special.
da haben wir den
And it's what makes it sustainable. People approach the whole thing in a different way, especially with an animal like this.
Essen, gerade bei so einem Tier. Genau.
We still need to get rid of the guts.
Genau. Einmal über Nacht in die Kühlung, ganz abtropfen.
Now it's left to hang overnight. That makes it easier to process.
I think what happened back in that slaughterhouse will forever be burned into my mind. The noises, the sounds, the smells, but it's the only way that sustainably eating meat is actually possible, because doing this in the masses of meat we eat today is absolutely impossible. But still, for me, I don't really know if I'm ever gonna walk into a supermarket again and be like, yeah, I'm gonna eat that meat.
The next morning, it's time to harvest the meat we've worked so hard for. Taking the carcass apart isn't any easier, it turns out.
And there goes the shoulder.
Yes!
About 20 kilograms of the lamb are lost in the process, mainly the pelt and the guts. That looks great.
Da haben wir es. Dann Bratwurst als erstes.
How about a sausage for starters?
Dann
I'm not going to lie, this tastes really, really good. And I don't feel guilty about it because the lamb had a good life and a good death. And I'm not turning vegetarian, but it's only for special occasions, really. When you slaughter animals like we used to do 100 or 150 years ago, and like we just did, you also need to eat meat like we used to 100 or 150 years ago. That means only a steak a week, and that's it.
Oh my, what a day for a reporter. Leaving your comfort zone doesn't always happen voluntarily. People losing their jobs because businesses are suffering under pandemic restrictions. Now, that's a real problem. But maybe this crisis can also offer opportunities. Entrepreneur Ernest Darko might have some advice for you, even if you're not into large-scale health systems development like he is.
The COVID pandemic has really turned the world upside down. So here are the 5 tips to boost your career in the context of a pandemic. It's really important to focus on things that you're passionate about. Even if in the overall sense of your career, it's hard to find, the thing to be passionate about. I grew up in a situation where healthcare was always poor, clinics were always overcrowded. Halfway through my medical career, I realized that if I really want to make a difference in these types of environments, I needed to be a doctor of systems, not just of people. Many years later, here I am basically running a company that is focused on helping countries fix their systems at large scale. If it's not easy to get out of bed to go to that job or to go do that particular thing I've chosen to do, then I know I'm probably doing the wrong thing. If in particular you're in a career that's very much dependent, for example, on seeing people, and we know that going into lockdown and isolation is the norm, it's definitely going to impact your career or your profession negatively. So do that assessment really quickly to understand whether it's going to diminish or create opportunities for you. If there is an opportunity, try and figure out how am I going to work myself into that opportunity. So if I can now innovate in order to now meet this new demand, yes, I cannot see people in person, but there's this huge demand now. How can I innovate basically to meet this new opportunity? So we developed a screening app, for example, that community workers who are going to do the door-to-door COVID screening could use to capture the screening and the result of the screening in real time. Look at tech enabling yourself, using technology to allow you to innovate, using technology to allow you to meet the new opportunities that are presented by COVID, as opposed to purely being a victim to what COVID has done. So technology can be a game changer in many cases. It allows you to scale yourself up. It allows you to be accessible by your clients in ways that probably might actually be better than pre-COVID. As we've seen with COVID, things keep changing, right? Everything from having first wave to second wave to learning new things about the disease that then changes the policy environment, that then changes the rules. You'll know you're adapting in the right way if you're maintaining your clients, if you're maintaining quality and you're maintaining satisfaction with what you're doing. I know it may sound like a bit of a luxury to be in a position where you can do all of these things because some people may not actually have these options. But to the extent that you can, I think it's important that you do so. And I've seen some amazing examples of people doing this and in fact, not only surviving the pandemic, but actually thriving in the context of all of the challenges that COVID-19 has brought.
Readjusting your career can be difficult, no doubt, particularly if your plan was to have one of the coolest jobs ever, flying a plane. But we know the pandemic has been an utter nightmare for the travel business. The global airline body IATA says air traffic this year is expected to be 66% lower than last. So it's been a huge mess for the sector up to this point, and even with bookings slowly recovering,